Good morning. How are you all today? Thank you all for viewing with us and welcome to Bible class with Andre and Betty. We're continuing our studies from the book of Joshua, and this morning we're in chapter 11. And we will be looking at the conquering of the land of Canaan. And it is done from God's instructions to Moses, and Moses to Joshua, and Joshua to the people. And so as we look at this chapter, we're seeing the final conquest of the land of Canaan. That is, all of the enemies in the land defeated. Verse 1 in Joshua chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to pass, when Jabin, king of Hazor, had heard those things, how Israel had defeated these other nations, that he, that is Jabin, king of Hazor, sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of Aksaph. Verse 2. And to the kings that were on the north of the mountains and of the plains south of Shinarath, and in the valley and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. So he called all these kings together in verses 1, 2, and 3. In verse 4, and they went out, they and all their host or their army with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore in multitude, with horses and chariots very many. So this great multitude is going out against Israel to fight against them. But the God of Israel is going to intervene through the leadership of Joshua. Verse 5. And when all these kings were met together, they came and pitched or set up camp together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said in verse 6 unto Joshua, be not afraid because of them. It's a multitude, as many as the sand is on the seashore, but be not afraid because of them. For tomorrow about this time will I deliver them up all slain before Israel. Thou shalt hold their horses and burn their chariots with fire. To hold a horse is to cut his hamstring. And so that is what God is telling Joshua to do. So to God be the glory. And Joshua is the instrument he's using at this time. Verse 7. So Joshua came and all the people of war with him against them by the waters of Merom suddenly. And they fell among them. All this multitude fell before Joshua and Israel. Verse 8. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto great Zidon and unto Misrephoth-Maim and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward. And they smote them until they left them none remaining out of all those people that had come against Israel. God smote them and left none of them remaining. Verse 9, and Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him or instructed him. He hoed their horses and burnt their chariots with fire. So this is, they're defeating nations that are in Canaan land, and they're going to prepare to get their inheritance as they move forward. Verse 10, and Joshua at that time turned back and he went back into the battle and took Hazor and smote the king, that is Jabin thereof, with the sword. For Hazor before time was the head of all those kingdoms. So Hazor and all these other kings and nations, Hazor was the most prominent. Verse 11, and they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe, and he burnt Hazor with fire. Verse 12, and all the cities of those kings and all the kings of them did Joshua take and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. Verse 13, but as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save or except Hazor only. That did Joshua burn. So they're defeating the people that are coming against them in great numbers. Verse 14, and all the spoil of the valuables of these cities and the cattle the children of Israel took for prey unto themselves, a booty. They took it unto themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe. And so as they move forward, as they go at that time, they are conquering and defeating the kings and the inhabitants of those land. And all these places are in Palestine or in regions of Canaan land. Verse 15, and as the Lord commanded Moses, his servant, so did Moses command Joshua. And so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. Verse 16, so Joshua took all that land, the hills and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same. Verse 17, even from the Mount Halak that goeth up to Seir, even unto Baalgad in the valley of Lebanon under Mount Hermon. And all their kings he took and smote them and slew them. And this is just a summary of all the kings that were defeated by Joshua and the men of war. Verse 18, Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. Verse 19, there was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel except the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle. Verse 20, for it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them, that is, God might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses. So it's the will of God that these nations be destroyed in order that he bring the land and give them the land flowing with milk and honey. And verse 21 says, and at that time came Joshua and cut off the Anakims from the mountain, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. Verse 22. There was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, in Ashdod there remained, and those are Philistines that remained. Verse 23. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord said unto Moses. And Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel according to their divisions by their tribes. And the land rested from war. So after conquering and defeating everyone from Jericho up to now at this time, there's no more war. Now later it's gonna come, war is gonna come again. But right now, God has secured the land of Canaan for the children of Israel. And so conquering the land of Canaan is what God had promised Moses and the people of Israel under his leadership. And God is still defeating our enemies. The battle is not ours. The battle is the Lord's. If we learn how to follow his directions, as Joshua did under the leadership of God and according to what God had commanded Moses, his servant. So that's the conclusion of chapter 11. We'll begin in chapter 12 next time, and we will just keep moving forward until the Lord say enough done. So thank you all for listening, and have a great day and a great week. Bye.